Some stories vanish like smoke, and some remain buried, waiting to be remembered. Nakano Takeko should be a name spoken beside legends, but instead, history has let her fade, like a falling cherry blossom in the wind. Yet once, she stood at the front of an army, not of men, but of women, armed with blades, dressed in courage. And this is the true story of Japan's last samurai daughter. The year was 1853. Japan, closed to the world for over 200 years, was about to be forced open. Foreign ships, steam-powered and black as ink, appeared on the shores. They demanded trade, demanded change, and just like that, the old world began to crack. The samurai class, once noble and untouchable, was losing its place. Tradition was being swept away by modernization. In the midst of this storm forming, a girl was born in Echigo province. Her name was Nakano Takeko. She would grow up reading Chinese philosophy, studying calligraphy, and mastering the art of war, despite being told she shouldn't. Girls didn't wield swords. They embroidered them onto silk. But Takeko wasn't like other girls. She begged to train. Her uncle, a respected martial arts instructor named Akaoka Daisuke, eventually gave in. He handed her a naginata, a long-bladed polearm. She was just a child, but when she took that weapon in her hands, it felt right. By 14, she could outmatch grown men. Her strikes were precise, her focus unshakable. Akaoka once said,
"She moves like a falling leaf, gentle, until she cuts."
Outside, Japan was changing fast. The shogunate's grip was slipping. The emperor's voice, silent for centuries, was rising. And as new armies formed with rifles and cannons, the old code of Bushido, honor, duty, self-sacrifice, was slowly being erased. But Takeko refused to erase herself with it. Then came the Boshin War in 1868. It was a civil war between the shogunate's loyalists and the imperial reformers. One fought for the old ways, the other for the future. Takeko was 21. No army would take her. She was too young, too female, too wrong. So she built her own. She gathered women from the Aizu domain, wives, widows, sisters. They trained in secret, sewed their own uniforms, sharpened the weapons their fathers had left behind. They called themselves the Jōshitai, the women's army. And at the front of their line, under falling autumn leaves, stood Nakano Takeko. What happened next? Most people have never heard, but once you do, you won't forget. The imperial forces surrounded Aizu Castle. They had French rifles, heavy artillery, battle drills taught by foreigners, and marching toward them were women in handmade armor, led by a girl with a blade taller than her own body. Takeko's hair was tied high, her grip unshakable. She had waited her whole life for this moment. The other samurai commanders were stunned. One man pulled her aside.
"You'll be slaughtered. This isn't your war,"
he said. Takeko simply replied, "Then you shouldn't be here either." October 10th, 1868. The Jōshitai charged head-on. No rifles, no cannons, only steel, only will. They screamed their battle cry as they cut through the trees and into their enemy's flank. Takeko's naginata found its mark again and again. The first rifleman dropped before he could even aim. The imperial soldiers froze. Someone shouted,
"They're women!"
But in that moment of doubt, the line broke. Takeko led from the front. Her younger sister, Yuko, fought beside her. The Jōshitai pushed through the chaos with fearless rhythm. They moved like a storm with no center. But rifles don't tire, and bullets don't care about bravery. A sharp shot cracked through the battlefield. Takeko staggered. Blood bloomed across her chest. She fell to one knee, but didn't drop her weapon. Yuko rushed to her side, tears already forming. Takeko, barely breathing, gripped her sister's hand. "Don't let them take my body," she whispered. "Bury me with my blade beneath the pine tree." Yuko nodded once, and as the fighting roared on, she carried her sister to that tree and kept her promise. That night, the Jōshitai scattered. Many were killed. Some vanished into the forest. But the legend, it had already begun. A 21-year-old woman had led a unit into direct combat and shattered what the world believed was possible, not for glory, not for history, but because surrendering would have meant agreeing that she didn't belong. The war ended, the shogunate fell, and Japan leapt into the modern world. Electric lights, Western suits, steam engines, samurai swords were banned. Honor was traded for progress. But under a lone pine tree in Aizu, one sword remained. It was buried with Nakano Takeko. Her name, almost forgotten by the government, remembered only in whispers by those who passed by. In 1930, the villagers finally placed a small monument beside her grave. No grand statue, just a few carved words. Nakano Takeko, leader of the women's army. She never fought expecting to win. She fought because walking away would have meant becoming invisible, and that was never an option. It makes you wonder, what if your world told you, you don't fit, you don't count, you're too late? Would you step aside or draw your own line, even if no one else dares to stand with you? Takeko didn't live long, but she lived clearly. She didn't ask for permission to lead. She led because someone had to, and maybe that's all a leader really is. Nakano Takeko reminds us that standing for what matters, especially when it costs you, everything isn't a failure, it's freedom. Her battlefield was 19th century Japan. Yours might be a classroom, a boardroom, or a quiet decision no one else will see. But the blade she carried, it wasn't just steel, it was choice, and today that choice is still ours.